take projection.
Welcome everybody to a joint special edition of Taking on Sports in the Staredown. I am TD, that's Greg, and that's Mallory. How are y'all doing this morning?
A little nervous, but doing good.
I'm ready for some chaos to ensue because you know it's going to happen.
I'm joining Greg in the nervous ranks. I'm not sure. I don't know. It's just, it seems really weird to leave out a top or undefeated Power 5 conference champ in Florida State, and I don't think that they're leaving out Texas. But then again, the committee has said in the past that they're here to find the 4 best teams and not the 4 most deserving teams. So I have no idea what's about to happen. But we are here with y'all literally live. It is 11 a.m. Central Time. All 3 of us have the TV on ESPN right now. We're going to watch this selection show live with y'all. I think I read that they will actually give us the selections at about quarter after. So we have about 15 minutes to kill before then. We'll pay attention to it. So I guess we can just start. So it seems like we already have our predictions. We talked about it on there. I think we get left out. I think it's Michigan, Washington, Florida State, Texas. Greg, same thing, sounds like.
Yeah, I mean, just because it's no matter how you look at it, a Power 5 undefeated team, it's hard to jump them, regardless of what we think about them right now and their situation. They still won the ACC, still undefeated. It's hard to keep them out.
And I think, guys, I would love to agree with you on that. I think deep down, this is kind of why we went away from the BCS, right? Because you wanted that eye test and you wanted those things where maybe the BCS would have weighted a little bit of a strength of schedule or something like that heavier in favor of putting in, a Bama, but you really wanted an undefeated conference champion in there. But I think here, the eye test, the fact that they can look at injuries, I just don't think you can overcome that. I think that if you take Washington, Michigan, or even Texas, and you put them up against Florida State right now, I think they just get blown out. I think the committee knows that. So I think Bama sneaks in, and I think Texas gets to be sad at home, and Florida State too.
Wait, so...
I'm sorry. No. Texas and Bama get in.
Okay.
Florida State gets to go be sad at home. Sorry.
I was like, wait a minute. I thought maybe you were calling for the ultimate chaos. I thought you were saying
no.
State sneaking in.
Sorry.
Yeah.
No, sorry, guys. I got distracted by what was on TV. I was distracted by Jordan throwing his crutch up in the air, and my total bad on that one. But yeah, no, I think you have I think the committee puts you in there to possibly having a Texas-Alabama rematch in the championship game if true chaos ensues within the top 4.
Yeah, I think they would avoid the rematch in the semis, and you see something like Michigan, Bama, Washington, Texas. Maybe.
Yeah, I could see that. But man, Washington to me should scare everybody right now.
I agree.
Washington's a heck of a team.
I was talking to my dad on the phone after the game yesterday, and he was saying he thinks Texas might actually be the best team in the country, which I support. I can support that argument. They're playing as well as anybody.
Yeah.
But Washington, I was like, I think I'd worry about them the most because they just find ways to win, and they're a tough team. And it's those tough teams. It's like in the NFL when you hear teams are built for January. Like those are the teams you don't want to play. And
but you could make that same argument for Bama right now. Bama's made for the playoffs, and you want to talk about finding a way to win. 4th and 31. Anybody?
Yeah, I mean, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah. But, I mean, just the fact that, for me, just Washington, I mean, no one really thought they were winning Friday night beside them. I mean, Vegas didn't think so. No one thought they were winning that rematch on the neutral field. And really, for a while, I mean, they're blowing Oregon out. It's crazy.
Yeah. No, yeah, they started, and they were not just blowing them out. They were running all over them. They were doing what everyone thought Oregon was going to do. I don't know if I've ever seen the odds makers look dumber than that 9-10 point line in Oregon's favor.
Yeah, we said that last week. Like, what is this line?
Yeah, we did. We looked it up. Yeah, when we were recording last week and saw that's
Like,
way too big. And
and it didn't
I th-
move at all. That was a
no,
weird thing too. Like I
Yeah.
really believed it.
and yeah, a point or so. I think at one point it might have been 10, and then it finished at 9. I know myself, Mallory, and Blaine all took Washington in the column, and that was the
I mean,
easiest pick in that whole thing
easiest
to me.
money.
Oh yeah,
And
that would to me
usually
was the easiest.
December for college football or late November is the hardest time to get easy money against Vegas.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and they just gave us it with that.
Yeah,
But yeah, you said something earlier. I want to go back to while we're waiting here. We mentioned the BCS. So there's a growing sentiment, I think, online that people miss the BCS. Where do y'all
I've seen
fall
that.
in that? Mallory, do you miss the BCS at all?
I do. What I miss about it is it's a mathematical equation, right? It's you input this, you get this out. And I don't think that there was ever really any true controversy in terms of what I can remember that led to something like what we're about to see here, where somebody is going to be left out and be so upset about it. Like you would have had all of your conference champions there and that kind of thing. And people would have been like, the only thing they would have been like is, oh, well, take the eye test. All right, cool. But if you have, 4 undefeated teams, the 4 undefeated teams are going to get into your top 4 slots. What I ultimately wish for, though, is that we could have taken the BCS with a committee and kind of had a hybrid. But I don't think there's any way to do that. Or if there is someone who's very smart who can figure it out, hadn't figured it out yet.
No, there's absolutely a way to do that because college basketball does it, and they did it with the RPI and whatever new formula they use. They have a human selection committee, but a rankings based thing that they use not as like a kind of biblical end all be all text, but they do. Hey, this is our best tool, and in doubt, we kind of go to this and be like, oh, this team's 20 spots higher, then they deserve to get in the at large, And I think you nailed it. They missed a chance when they first made the playoff to be like, we're keeping the BCS rankings around, but we're going to have a selection committee to debate things like injuries and strength of schedule, what have you. Greg?
And I think originally people didn't like the BCS because they wanted a playoff with more than just 2 teams. I think that was the biggest thing. I remember way long before any of that, I had to do a speech in like 10th grade. Well, not 10th grade, soon sophomore year of college, talking about it was a persuasive speech, and mine was about why the NCAA should use the BCS system, but change your playoff and use the rankings and build a playoff map like that. And I thought that was the perfect way to do it because it keeps the human bias element out of it, but it allows teams that rightfully should be in the playoff get into the playoff and play each other. So
yeah, and yeah, I think they missed opportunities there because when we were in school back then, I think the same thing. I came up with a playoff system was basically this: it was 16 teams, every conference champ gets in, and there's 5 at largest because there were 11 conferences in. And so you had your conference champs in and then 5 at largest, which I thought was more than enough, but everybody's happy. You play on campus, blah, blah, blah. And back then it could have worked because the gap between the power conferences and the mid majors and smaller guys wasn't nearly as astronomical as it is now. I mean, evidenced by like Boise State, what they did in the BCS in their run, But yeah, one thing I find interesting about the BCS love all of a sudden is that people are acting like, well, it got it right most of the time. I think the only time the BCS really got it right was when the answer was obvious. There was 2 unbeaten teams and then no one else, like, okay, yeah. Or there was an unbeaten team, a 1-loss team, and then a bunch of 2-loss teams or something. But when it was bad, it was bad. I mean, 2001, we had, it was that the year that Oklahoma was in, right? And then you had Florida State, which had 1 loss, to Miami, which had 1 loss, to Washington, who had 1 loss, and they picked Florida State, which was and Washington beat Miami, and they picked Florida State, and that obviously was the wrong choice because that the worst BCS title game of all time, 13-2,
13-0,
13-2,
That's right.
two. Florida State got theirs. Give them their safety, Greg.
Yeah, give them the credit.
Yeah, and we still had. Well, in the BCS, I'll let you guys go. But the BCS 2, the whole point of it was to crown 1 champion again, and we still had split titles during the BCS era. So that's why I always go back to them,
LSU and USC.
USC, yeah.
Yes.
I'm like, no, it didn't work. Then if we bring on this system, it didn't work. And
Yeah, I mean,
go ahead.
you know what I'm saying? Even then, of course, from our opinion, 2011, we were definitely should have been in the because we're Bama fans. But I mean, you look at like Oklahoma State and everybody else that we benefited from losing that last weekend. I mean, they had just as rightful of a thing as we did as far as getting in that national title game. And that was kind of the final straw for the the BCS. After that, they were, well, we're definitely moving to the playoff.
Yeah, and I think too, the thing that always got me about the BCS, but I don't think we've seen anything different from this. And I think this is where everybody truly started getting kind of upset as you got into like the 07-08 years is like Mac Brown at Texas, he was lobbying for votes. Well, what is him lobbying for votes any different than Greg Sankey coming out and saying like leaving an SEC team out of the top 4 is a travesty and it doesn't happen? Like that's the exact same thing. It's just it like that, and I think that's probably the thing that like people were that the things that people were mad about with the BCS, they're still mad about now. So
Yeah.
I think
Nothing's
go
changed.
no, but it all goes back to look, hey, let's get your speech up online from your sophomore year of college because you're right, and I mean, and TD, you nailed it too. We do it in the NCAA for March Madness, so yeah, I understand it. That's way more teams, but just a thing that just popped up on the screen was when you're looking at Georgia, their key wins are Ole Miss and Missouri. Okay, well, if you've followed anything I've said, Ole Miss and Missouri, I can argue Ole Miss would be ranked higher than Missouri because our 2 losses were to Bama and Georgia, the 2 teams who you're going to try and decide to put into the top 4, maybe, from the SEC. Missouri's losses are to LSU at home that Ole Miss beat, and then Georgia. So how do you rank Missouri ahead of us? That's what I don't understand. And again, it goes kind of back to that. It's like, I'm sure there is some lobbying behind the scenes within the SEC offices to get Greg to go to the committee for that. But I mean, you're always going to have things like that. But if you do have just the true computer rankings that spit it out, I mean, come on, y'all, we have computers that can put, people on the moon. You can figure out who the top 12 teams are based on that, and then narrow it down to the 4 by using the human eye factor if you really need to.
No, yeah, that's. I mean, we've already said it. Yeah, the best system would be keep a BCS style rankings, and that's what you talk about every Tuesday instead of that's another thing. The committees, one of the dumbest things they do, and I know they do it because ESPN probably asked them to, and they want the ratings and whatnot, but is that they release weekly rankings because all they do is subject themselves to this. So if Bama jumps in now, they're going to jump at least 4 spots in the rankings, and people are going to be mad about that. Or if we remember the first year when Baylor was in the second to last rankings and then got jumped over by Ohio State, and everyone's like, well, how, what did they do? Ohio, blah, 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 Again, the committee could just get rid of all this if they just said, we have a committee, we're watching it. These are the BCS rankings every week, but that's not the end all be all. ESPN could still have their show every week and talk about the rankings, but then the committee could just come out and say, these are our 4 teams. They wouldn't even have to seed them.
Exactly.
When you have a 14 playoff seeding, it's kind of silly anyway. Just let's be honest. What do we want? What does everybody in the world, college football world, want right now? They want Michigan and Washington to be in the Rose Bowl. They want that final grand old Big Ten, Pac-10 Rose Bowl. Yeah. But if you do the rankings, that means that like Texas, one loss Texas, or if Alabama gets in, they're going to have to like play around these rankings and make them funky, which is why I don't know. It's a whole thing. Which is why if Florida State gets in, then they can't be ranked 4th with Texas 3rd because you're telling us that it's important that they're unbeaten in a conference champ. Well, then that means that they need to be the 3rd place team, and we need to have like Michigan, Texas,
yeah. Well, and I mean, it is kind of the same thing. Like, okay, so I've seen a bunch, and again, we all know I'm an Ole Miss homer here, but the sentiment has been, so if you do that, then you're saying like, oh, it's okay if you still schedule cupcakes because you can still get in. But, then Texas, who didn't schedule an out-of-conference cupcake, and Bama, that obviously helps. But it's like, but then you look at the Missouri, Ole Miss, and they didn't play Tulane like we played. And granted, Tulane lost yesterday. Now, SMU's playing some phenomenal football right now. But Tulane to go only 2 losses and one of them being the championship game, like that's big. Like that's really big for them. And we went on the road and beat them there. So yeah, I think, man, I'm so ready for 12 teams. That's all I can say. Like, and you can't, and I'm tired of the argument of, oh, well, you can't make these college kids play as many games as they do in the NFL. Well, you basically are at this point. And as soon as they leave college, they're going to go do it. And you mean to tell me physically in 1 year they gain that much to play 2 or 3 extra games? No, not at all. Not with the way stuff's set up now.
Because the champion plays, 15 games right now. The NFL season
Yes.
2 more games.
Yeah.
So
That's it.
And then we look at our lower divisions where they have a 24-team playoff. Those guys
no one
play
has
like
ever
15.
batted. No one has ever batted an eye at that ever.
Not a single word. Yeah, not a single word. No.
Hey,
if anything,
UNA
it's
grad
always been
here.
how come. If anything, it's always been why haven't the power conferences moved to this format years ago?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, which I mean, yeah, good choice. Like I said, I think that time is gone now. I don't think you can have a playoff where the SEC champ and the MAC champ are in the same thing. I think the resources are just too wide now. I've said it for years now that I think the best thing to do would be to trim down the FBS level to be like find it somewhere around 80 to 100 teams. Be like this is it. This is whatever metrics you need to do. This is the threshold for what it should be. Teams like like in Eastern Michigan, not to call them out. Sorry, any I don't even know what you guys are. Eagles? I don't know. Sorry, any Eastern Michigan fans, but like your resources just aren't there compared to a Georgia, an Ole Miss, and Alabama. Like it's not the same level of football. It's like if soccer. If you asked, okay, well we're gonna have Manchester City play the second tier champion, and that decide. Well, guess what? That second tier champion's never beat Manchester City.
Right.
But yeah, that's I think I've kind of lost my point now, but I'm rambling.
No.
But yeah, no.
So I want to make a point off of what you just said, because I think this is kind of I think we're all talking towards the same thing, right? And I think this is kind of where it's fun to go watch like Twitter and all of that and see. I refuse to call it X, by the way. But I think it's fun to go watch Twitter and all of those things and see how everybody's talking the same thing and people start arguing over it. And I'm like, guys, y'all are talking about the same thing. But to me, what this does is this just proves the point that I have said since we started seeing conference realignment, with Oklahoma and Texas kind of being those first 2 dominoes. I have said since then, you're going to end up with 4 major conferences. And within those, you're going to have 4 divisions. So you're basically going to look like an expanded NFL. And I just did the math with my calculator because it's too early to do it in my head. 6 teams in each of those 4 divisions within those 4 conferences gives you 96 teams. Done. There you go.
Yeah, there's going to be, that's what it's leading toward. And another product here is, depending on what this result is, if Alabama gets left out for Florida State, what you're essentially telling, and granted Florida State's played a great schedule, but if Alabama gets left out because they have the loss, is more the better thing to say here, then you're going to see ADs start canceling all these premier out of conference games, because it tells you that it doesn't matter that you're playing a strong schedule, which in the past the committee has said is very important.
Right.
But if a team like Michigan, who schedules like UNLV, Northwestern Michigan State School for the Blind, all these just horrible out of conference schedules. Granted, UNLV had a good year, good for them. But still, you're going to stop seeing these games, or until, like Mallory says, there's just a complete break off and then the formation of a new Premier League type level of college football where all these teams just play each other the whole time.
And I mean, I think, like I've already looked ahead to Ole Miss's schedule next year. We play Furman. So, you're going to see Keith Carter start scheduling Furman instead of Tulane.
Yeah,
and you're also going to start seeing teams like Florida State saying bye ACC, because, to that point, if Ole Miss and Bama and Georgia have to play Texas and Oklahoma and LSU every year, why the hell are we going to go get ourselves beat up by playing Florida State out of conference? No, let's save it for the playoffs. We're not going to kill ourselves that way in the regular season.
Yeah, I think,
and that's also why the SEC has never moved to 9 games, because what's the point? If you can
Yep.
get into the playoff with 8, why risk that ninth when no one else is doing it? It's not universal. So
Although it
Yeah.
should be noted, Nick Saban is one of the very vocal proponents of
he's been
going to
like that
9
nine.
games.
forever.
Yeah, 9
He
games, and
is.
he also believes that only Power 5 teams should only play other Power 5 teams, which I'm not wholly on board with because I love college football, and part of college football is because we see stuff like App State upset Michigan, or
New Mexico State walking into Jordan-Hare the weekend before the
the
Iron
Iron
Bowl.
Bowl.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's
Oh,
what college football, and that's the problem with even my suggestion of going down. Oh, here we go. We're going.
oh,
Number one, Michigan, to be
of
expected.
course. Yep.
Yeah, no arguments there. Grant, a weak schedule, like
No.
we said, but
But they handle
they've
business.
yeah, exactly. They've
Well,
handled their
They had to
business.
do.
Yeah,
and I definitely, once we see all of these, I do want to come back to Michigan because do you put an asterisk next to them if they win it because of all
Oh,
the stuff with Harbaugh this year?
I wouldn't.
I don't think you can because again, along with the injuries, they also get to look at coaching issues as well. And look, hey, he sat out 6 games and they still went and destroyed everybody. Now, whether it was a cupcake or not, it doesn't matter. They still took care of business.
yeah.
I
And
mean,
let's
they
be
beat
honest.
Penn State and they beat Penn State and Ohio State without Jim Harbaugh on the sideline for whatever that's worth.
Yeah. And honestly, to me, that's just good coaching during the week.
Oh, the Huskies number 2, so we will
2.
not get a
Number
Michigan
2.
Washington Rose Bowl. Interesting.
Oh, y'all, this is where I just got nervous for my Florida State friend and all my Bama friends. Because one group's about to be really upset.
I'm guessing 3 is going to be Texas here.
I think so too.
Regardless of if Florida
I'm
State's in or
assuming
not,
so.
I think yeah.
I think 3's Texas.
But then that just kills your whole
Is
thing
that
all season.
yeah, if you
Yeah.
put Texas at 3 and then Florida State at 4, then you have no
Your
idea what
whole-
your actual metrics are. You're just picking teams out of your ass.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's not what you said all this time.
Yeah, exactly.
I know.
And we didn't even mention during this whole thing Kirby Smart lobbying too, and he was saying, if
No.
it's 4 best teams, not 4 most deserving, then yeah, if you're talking 4 best teams, yep, here's Texas at 3. Yeah, then if we're talking 4 best teams, then yeah, Georgia should probably be in this too, but that's a different argument. All right, let's see.
Oh, God, y'all.
Sweat.
Why am I so nervous? It's not even any of my teams and I'm nervous.
Yeah, shot of the Texas players. They're excited. They knew you were getting it. Come on, you guys.
Come on, y'all.
Guys are there.
So we're getting a Washington, Texas semifinal. That'll be a good one.
That's like a group.
Oh, I'm
They
excited for
They
that.
just played last year, didn't they?
Did they?
Did they?
Like a holiday bowl or something?
I swear they played in the Holiday Bowl.
Oh no. One of the best holiday bowls of all time, though, that major Applewhite comeback win way back in the day. Texas, Washington. Here we are, our 4th spot. Or are they going to give us 6 first? They're going to give us 6 first to really tease it out.
Yeah.
Which
They're
I
gonna
would
go as
imagine
long
would
as they
be
can with it.
Georgia.
I would
And you're
assume
correct. They
Georgia.
played Washington in the Alamo Bowl last year.
Okay.
Oh, God. Now we're going to. Hey, look,
no.
Ole Miss is on the 2 as key wins against Bama and Georgia. Y'all, that's all I can hope for is my Rebels up there at least doing something that means something. That'll make Lane Kiffin so happy.
If anything, Florida State should not be picked based on how god-awful that ACC title game was last night. And granted, I know you're down to your third-string quarterback, but good Lord.
But
credit
the
to Florida
other thing
State's
makes you wonder,
defense.
how would Louisville get to 10-2 with that? Like, my goodness.
I know.
I think that
Which
says
just
a
to
lot
me
about
shows-
how weak the ACC actually was this year.
I think so too, y'all, because we
And
all
it
thought
started off
Clemson was
so
going to make
well.
a run.
And then
Yeah.
the ACC there. 6.
I mean, there
Georgia.
was Florida State, and then there was nobody.
Yeah, they're going to
But it
give us
started
number
off
6
such a-
first. Yep,
Yeah,
Georgia at
Georgia
6. Okay. Well, that's good too because a lot of people were afraid too that Ohio State was somehow still going to be in this mix, and I was just like, no way. Like,
No, there's
get
no
them
way.
the hell out of here.
No,
Yeah.
they-
Like their best wins were what, Notre Dame and
Guys, I think you put Florida State at 5 and you put Bama at 4. And I think it's just based off of that strength of schedule that we just saw.
I hope you're right.
I think that's what happens. And I think Florida State fans are about to be.
Oh, Greg's ahead of us.
Greg's
I'm
ahead of
guessing
us.
that's a.
I think that means I was right. I think that
That
means I was
is
right, y'all.
Alabama in. Oh, roll
Oh
tide.
my God, y'all!
Ooh, Florida State Twitter gonna be mad.
My
Oh,
next door
man.
neighbor
Look how excited
JJ's
I
gonna
am
be
right
mad.
now. This is epic. I love it.
Holy
Oh,
shit!
Oh
man.
man, Florida
I hope we
State.
don't have to put explicit on this episode because of that. Oh
Florida
my God,
State,
y'all!
first undefeated Power 5 champ not to be in.
Oh, buddy.
Alabama gets in.
Whoa.
Again, if you're talking 4 best teams, Florida State without Jordan Travis is not one of them. If they
Not.
had Jordan
They're not.
Travis,
I mean,
this wouldn't be. I don't even think this is an argument. If Jordan
based
Travis is
upon the
still
4
healthy.
best teams, they got it right. If Jordan Travis is there, we're out. As simple as that.
Yeah, I agree. So it looks all right
I
here.
think even if
Michigan,
they look
Alabama,
better,
and the Rose Bowl.
I think
sorry,
even
Greg.
if Rodemaker played yesterday, they probably still get it. They
All
probably
right.
went bigger. But,
So I'm gonna say this.
oh,
I know a
boy.
bunch of my friends are gonna be very, very happy, but roll MFing Tide against Michigan, y'all. Let's go. Let's go, Bama.
Harbaugh Saban. Boy, that's
Ooh.
something.
Let's
There we go.
go.
I
I will be wearing some. I'll be wearing some crimson
Harbaugh.
and white that day because I can't stand Harbaugh.
A Rose Bowl matchup too, a classic.
Wow.
The
Oh,
granddaddy of them all.
Yeah.
y'all have chills. Like, I'm not even kidding. Like, I have chills. Like, I cannot wait for January 1st.
This should be an epic playoff. I mean, you have Michigan, Alabama, just the history of both the programs, two of the winningest programs of all time, in the Rose Bowl. I mean, it doesn't get bigger than that. And then on the other game, I mean, you got Washington, Texas. I mean, been in the top the whole season. Yeah, it doesn't get better than what we have.
Well, and
Might be the best playoff we've
ever had. I think it is because, and we've said it all along this whole time we've been talking. These are the 4 best. These are the 4 teams that are hitting on every single cylinder. And I think, I text Corey Hanna, which I know y'all know Corey, but I texted him last week and I was like, look, championship teams find a way to win. And like I said, Bama did it. 4th and 31 against Georgia, basically on Georgia's home turf in the Georgia Dome or whatever they call it, the Mercedes-Benz, whatever that thing is now in Atlanta. And it's like, and they went in and did it.
Yeah.
It is.
Denny East. That's right.
Man.
Wow, that is epic.
So yeah, there it is. Alabama, Michigan in the Rose Bowl on New Year's Day, followed by Washington and Texas in the Sugar Bowl that night.
And you talking about ratings. I mean, Michigan fans, Texas fans, Bama fans, even the Washington has a good amount. I mean, those ratings are going to be through the roof. I mean, there's going to be... And the other thing, too, is even the teams that aren't affiliated, they can't say, oh, the SEC got 2 win, we're not watching. People are going to watch this. Even if their team's not there because it's epic football.
I'll tell you what this also tells me is that Florida State is going to be lobbying hard to get into the SEC now.
And they should.
Yeah. Because this is, what this is? This is 2 Big Ten teams and 2 SEC teams now.
Yep. Guys, I think we just saw the start of the toppling of the NCAA.
Oh, yeah.
Going to that 4 and figuring it out that way. And I mean, like, I hate it. And I'm sure we could all talk for hours on this. I hate it for the Vanderbilts. I hate it for the Wake Forests of the world. But I think now you do start to see these powers. I mean, in 10 years, we're not even going to know. Like, go buy your SEC merch now without Texas and Oklahoma on it, and you can show your grandkids.
They would have been the 3
seed.
If Jordan Travis is healthy, then the 3 seed, Texas is the 4.
But like
they might even be the
injury
2 seed
matters.
right now.
Jordan Travis is healthy. This is Florida State is in, no question. I don't think, we even worry about it.
Because if...
Yeah. And again, this surprises me.
They're going to try to...
Well, actually, not really, but
that's what they hope.
Again, I said the seeding is dumb in a 14 playoff.
In
you would have thought that maybe Michigan, Washington, and the Rose Bowl is what they wanted, but then you would have an Alabama
so many
Texas rematch.
Fans,
they don't want to schedule that
rematch.
Yeah, if that rematch is going to happen, they want it in the title game. Yeah.
Yeah. And Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Texas. I mean,
Hmm.
no,
Y'all,
It's
you could play these games in
very
Japan
Texas.
and Bama fans would
I
find a way to
mean,
make it there.
yeah, just
Like,
because,
but same with
just
Texas.
because
I
it's
I was
mean,
about to say
expensive enough
you
to
mentioned
fly,
Houston, but
and then on
New
top of that,
Orleans
you're
ain't that
buying the
far away
ticket.
from
Now, granted,
Austin. That Sugar Bowl is going to
it may
be
not
that's
be
got to
as
be like
bad
a
as if like
80,
Bama were in the Sugar
80-20
Bowl because them
Texas
prices are
favorite
through
right
the
yeah.
now.
roof, but it's still pretty expensive. Your average Washington fan is not going to be able to get the tickets, the flying tickets, the game tickets, the hotel. Like that gets pricey real quick these days.
Hmm.
Yeah, and plus it's a drive away. I mean, you're driving to New Orleans.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Well, and you
Yeah.
got Texas oil
Yeah, I
money.
mean,
Hmm. I'm
it's
about to say
crazy to think that it's been since our
that
national
second
title game against
yeah,
Texas.
that
This is their first
secondary ticket
conference
market is
title
going to be
since.
real
That's
expensive. First
just
Texas
crazy.
playoff appearance, big time Sugar Bowl, a game that actually means something. Woo.
I can't even imagine what these Rose Bowl
Yeah.
tickets are going to go for. Oh,
Hmm.
I know.
It's insane. Yeah.
you know what?
Well, yeah. There you see it, folks. Oh man. Yeah.
I'm
Quick
going
predictions.
Bama, Washington. I've been on Washington's bandwagon as TD can most of the
Bama over
season.
Michigan,
I jumped off for a week.
Texas over Washington. I think we get the
I'm
rematch.
sorry, Mike. I'm back on.
Greg.
Bama, Washington, national title game.
That's true.
Yeah. I mean,
uh, whew, that's a tough one. Texas is just playing so well
we've
right
seen
now.
this movie
I
before.
think I have to go Bama, Texas as well. The rematch.
So I love how none of us are giving Michigan a shot here.
Michigan
Hmm
doesn't
And
need. They're
I don't,
Absolutely
too damn
slaughtered.
slow. We've seen this. We saw
they
this
are.
not 4 years
And
ago
this,
in
I
the
mean,
Citrus
this is
Yeah,
Bowl
a.
with
agreed.
Mac Jones, who
And
hadn't
then
even he had
Michigan
started one
falls in
game at
directly
that
what
point.
we
The
could have
Iron Bowl
stopped
Yes.
the run.
came
Yes.
in and dissected that
JJ,
Michigan
if
secondary.
JJ
And
beats
I
us with
don't see a reason why this
somehow
is.
JJ beats us with his arm,
Mhm.
then we deserve to lose. But I have confidence that that's not going to
Yeah,
happen.
and I think this team, maybe Michigan's a little defensively better matched up. Yeah. Hmm. No,
I
I don't
The
agree.
think so. Yeah.
confidence.
Well, and
Um,
I think, you want Milrow. I mean, look, him coming off the field at Auburn screaming, "Give me the
Mhm.
Heisman." He doesn't deserve the Heisman. I think everybody knows that. But you want him having that kind of confidence right now. And your team,
Mhm.
Bama is just so confident. So confident. Bama losing early every
Yeah, this
year
is going to be
should
an
make
epic
every
playoff.
other team so scared.
Yeah.
And it just proved why. They just proved why.
that
Dang, y'all. I'm
is
just like, this is insane.
that is indeed
Yeah.
here. All
Sure.
right.
Let's knock it out.
All right. Now we have a decision to make. Do we want to end it here, Mal or Greg? Do you want to go ahead and just do our quick full episode real quick? At least talk about the games yesterday. Yeah.
Sure, let's do it.
All right. Hey, well then let's do it here. A full, not just a quick episode, but a full. So we just got our reactions. Uh,
The
let's
first
talk
drive.
about yesterday. Then we'll start with I guess the big one, the SEC title game. Alabama 27, Georgia 24. Early on, didn't look good for the Tide. Georgia marched right down the field, scored. Alabama offense looked a little overmatched early on, and then they turned it around, and Alabama was, I think, the much better team for most of the game. I'll give Georgia fans a fair credit because Alabama fans say it about the title game a couple years ago. If Brock Bowers and Lad McConkey are 100%, does Georgia win? Mal, I'll go to you first.
I think you don't see as many mistakes as you did, but I still think that Uncle Mo is on Bama's side right now. So I think maybe you end up with a 1-point win instead of a 3-point win. I think you end up with an overtime because, I mean, Brock Bowers, man, when he's healthy, I don't know that there's a better player in college football that can change an offense outside of maybe Michael Penix Jr. But I still just don't think. I think Bama's
That's why
defense that
we play
nobody's
the
giving
games.
any credit to. Bama's defense
Even
continues to
too,
find a
we
way
lost
to
them in the
make
title
stops,
game.
and I
Yes, we
think they
didn't
would
have
have found a way to
Jameson.
make a
Yes, we
stop
didn't have
even if he
Mitchell.
is 100%
We
healthy.
still had opportunities to win that game.
Greg?
We had some drop touchdowns. We were up in the fourth quarter. We could have won that game. So you could use it. Yes, it changed the game, but we still could have won that game. Georgia could have still won yesterday had things gone that way. That fumble doesn't happen. Maybe they win. Same time, you look at it as well. We left plenty of points on the board as well. Milrow doesn't overthrow a couple of those after that fumble, and he overthrew in the back of the end zone.
Mm-hmm.
There's a couple of times we could have easily scored touchdowns. We got field goals, so we're looking at a completely different game. So I mean, it's always a what if, and that's always fun to talk about. But the reality is, you play the game, you get your winners. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like you said, it's fun to do what if. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
if Jameson Williams and John Mechie play for Alabama a couple years ago, I think Alabama wins that game
They
because Georgia
played.
didn't
We
really
saw
have an
both
answer
of them
for
out
them
there.
deep. But we also played that game and Georgia won and deserved to win. Yesterday, two things about yesterday. One, they played. They were on the field. So if they're good enough to go on the field, then hey, they played. Yeah. I've seen some people saying that maybe that was a fault in Kirby's and Mike Bobo's game plan was still relying on them, even though they weren't 100%. Well, again, you're on the field. But two, where I actually go to is I think Alabama, like y'all, still wins because that game was won at the line of scrimmage and Alabama's lines won it.
I mean, they didn't
They
do
ran
anything
the ball
wrong.
when
They
they
did what
needed
they had to
to,
do. They ran the
and
table.
their
They
defensive
won
line
their
got
conference
pressure,
despite
and
losing
their
two
defense made
quarterbacks at the
plays.
worst
We're
time of
seeing
the season
reaction shots
possible.
from Florida State right now.
So, I mean, they
I
have
do
every
feel
right
bad
to
for
be
those
as mad
kids.
as they want to be. The fan base can be as mad as they want to
too.
be. They
Yeah,
don't
Right.
hold it against them.
Yeah.
They did everything they could to be in the playoff. They won the Power 5 conference.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
and I'll go back to something too. They say this is a team game, and it is.
It's not,
But
but
you
it's
know, when your
ironic though that
leader,
it took until
man,
the
when your
very
leader's
final
out,
season to
that
ever get
just,
that.
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I mean,
Because I
until you
mean,
go to a 12, until you
2014,
go to a
yes, you
12
could have
team, you
ordered,
just knew somebody was
been mad
gonna
with the Baylor
somebody was gonna
TCU
feel
and
that
this,
way, and I hate
and
it for
Ohio
them.
State. But long term, of course, the Big Ten was going to jump a Big 12 without a
Yes,
Yeah.
playoff. I
yes,
mean, without a championship game. That was going to happen. It's Ohio State. Of course, you're going to jump Baylor or TCU over. Yeah, but Ohio State's going to jump Baylor and
Mm-hmm.
TCU even now. Like it doesn't matter. Like that's just the realities of the world we're in.
Yeah.
yeah.
And then
Especially
no other time
when
did
they
you
won
really have any
59 to
real
nothing.
drama.
Yeah.
I mean, last year the biggest drama was TCU or Alabama, and we knew we were. I mean, most of us
Yeah.
knew it was fun to argue. Hey, we were better than TCU, and people genuinely felt that. However, those two losses, we weren't going to get in the playoff. Um, mm,
Yeah. Yeah.
mm-hmm.
But yeah, still from yesterday's game, yeah, Jalen Milrow MVP deservingly. Like you
Because they
said, he missed
scored
a couple
really
throws
quick
in
after
there.
that.
Alabama had a couple opportunities to really put the game away. I actually, after they settled for the field goal after that fumble, I was starting to get real worried. I'm like, oh, that's one of those. I think, yeah, I think I even posted on like Blue
Mm-hmm.
Sky or something. I'm like, if Georgia comes back
Mm.
and wins this game, then this is the moment right here when their defense held them to a field goal, because that would have been a 14-point lead, not 10, and that would have been huge. But Alabama won 30th SEC title,
3 of the last 4 SEC titles, which is kind of hilarious for all the hand wringing and Alabama fans. A lot of them doomsday. Saban's coming to the end of the run. Hey, 3 of the last 4 SEC titles, 8 of the last 12.
Team is terrible. They have a running back.
Rumors of the Alabama dynasty demise.
Their offensive coordinator is horrible. They have Kevin Steele's way past who he's supposed to be. He's not good anymore. It's the reason why he's been everywhere. Here we are. Here we are.
Yeah. I was about to say there are a lot of Bama fans, probably us to a little small degree too, but that after the Texas and USF games, that owe some apologies to Coach Saban, Jalen Milroe, and some people. But I mean, also that team, you've heard it said that those are 2 different teams. That Alabama September and then Alabama yesterday. Yeah. All credit to the players for adapting and coming through, maturing, and progressing as the season went on. Shout out to Tommy Rees. He learned on the fly. He got, I think, a lot better as the year went on and actually game plan to his players' strengths. Not perfect. He's still got learning to do as a play caller, but he's a young guy. I mean, hell, he was playing quarterback a decade ago. Yeah, less than 10 years ago.
Florida State, defense is dominant. They
how about we go to
all
Florida
season,
State
and they
from yesterday?
Florida State ACC title game, ugly.
I mean,
defensive struggle
is nasty.
I don't even know.
Yeah, I mean,
that defensive line did criminal things to the Louisville offensive line yesterday. Mal, what do you got to say about it?
Man, I think, I just pulled up the box score to look at, when the scoring finally happened. You don't even get a field goal until 5 minutes into the second quarter. So, you go look at that. Florida State's defense holds Louisville scoreless until 8 minutes into the second half. And then after that, it was just, I think Louisville just had enough. Florida State's defense, man, they did everything right. And, defense wins you games. Defense wins you championships. Everybody always wants to talk about offense. Offense is always the easy thing to talk about, right? But, man, you're right. I think that defense of Florida State, they are so overlooked, and you just can't do that. And I think Mike Norvell, honestly,
on the level that they're
he's going to take this. He's going to use it in recruiting, and they're going to be scary. They're going to be scary next year.
State to be as we were kids,
and I think we saw why.
In college, growing up, I mean, Florida State was a perennial worst case scenario. They lose one, and they're only out the title because Miami got in or Florida got in. They're almost back to that level, moving to the 12-team playoff. I mean, if they continue on the path that they're on, I mean, they're in almost every year, you would think.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So, sorry, TD, real quick. I'm pulling up team stats too. Florida State's defense held Louisville to 188 total yards on 28 and a half minutes of possession. 188 yards, y'all. That's insane.
And yeah, like I said, that defensive line was just outstanding last night. All credit to them. But saying that's an argument for Florida State staying in the ACC is you're pretty much almost guaranteed a berth as the champion or
the
as
ACC,
one loss at large out of that conference now.
But I would
but
say
of course,
that Whitley said the ACC is a little bit smarter.
Keep the Pac-12 alive.
They didn't get a stupid TV deal. At least they got some associate ACC network is something that
we talked about
everybody
that.
can get.
Yeah.
It's not some special, limited, only direct TV like with the Pac-12 thing. Like at least they have that some intelligence with how they structure their TV deal as far as everybody being able to get it. Because that Pac-12 was the worst media deal in history of media deals.
embarrassing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
yeah, TD, what do you think about yesterday outside of the defense for Florida State?
I think. I just think that was a rough game to watch. I think I tuned in for an ACC title game and a Big Ten game broke out.
Mhm.
The defense is great. The Louisville played great too. We all this praise for Mike Norvell, and he does. I agree. Florida State is,
Mhm.
regardless of where they end up, ACC, SEC, whatever the new thing is called when all these leagues break apart from the NCAA anyway. Florida State's, they got their man. They're on the right track. You just keep putting money into that program, keep those resources and those facilities updated. They're going to be back to, at least in contention every year for the ACC and in the talk of this is a possible national title team every year. On the other sideline, disappointing into their conference season, but that's a great 10 wins for a Louisville team that nobody expected. I don't remember where they were predicted to begin the year, but that is an
Oh man,
outstanding
I thought they
season.
had the
Louisville has
punt
their
when they
man,
tackled the
Jeff
punter.
Brom.
I thought, wow, here we go.
To all my Louisville people back there, it sucks today because you had your shots. Louisville had their chances to win that game too. After that, yeah, when they jailbroke, they tackled the
Because
punter.
I
It
mean,
looked
their
like an
defense
NFL
played
blitz
phenomenal as
play. They
well.
just murdered the poor punter. Yeah, they got the ball at
They
like the
got
11-yard line. I thought this is it. Louisville's going to score a touchdown here, take the lead, and their defense is going to finish it off. But yeah, absolutely.
So the preseason poll for Louisville, they were 8th. It was Clemson, Florida State, North Carolina, NC State, Miami,
out to
Duke
them
and Pitt tied for 6th, Louisville, Wake,
for sure.
Syracuse,
For
Tech,
sure.
Virginia Tech, then Georgia Tech, Boston College, and Virginia.
Yeah. So yeah, hold your head up, Louisville fans, because you finally got your
Oh,
right
yeah, I mean,
guy, and
they're
he's going to get y'all back to a consistently
back to being a team
good
you have to
program.
respect.
Maybe not ACC title
You
game
know,
every year,
kind of
but
when it happens, you know.
I think 8-win floor is probably where Louisville should be at. Yeah. Let's see.
We kind of respected that.
Yeah.
I mean,
Let's move on to some other games real quick. Not make this too long. Blowout wins. Texas blew out Oklahoma State. I think everyone in the world saw that coming. Texas was on the Michigan.
imagine
I
if
don't think there's
Iowa
really
ever
anything
got
needs to be
a
said about that game.
just even an okay offense.
Michigan
They could be
easily
scary.
beat Iowa.
Because that
Same
defense has
thing.
been so good for so long.
I don't think
And you got to
anybody
think,
really.
I mean, and this, I mean, it's going to get tougher now, of course, with no more divisions. So, I mean, you can't sit in the skate folks in the West
that
any longer
defense,
to get to a championship game. But if they could get any semblance of an offense, they could be somewhat of a decent team. Who do they get? Yeah.
Well, I mean, they've already said that Baby Ferentz is not coming back as their offensive coordinator next year, so maybe we do see it next year, or at least see some improvement there. Well, they can have Charlie Weiss Jr. I'm more than happy to give him up.
But yeah,
I
where else?
thought
Where's my sheet
Toledo.
here? What other games we had? Miami, Ohio won the MAC. I'm sure none of us really know anything about that.
No, but that seemed to be a surprise, though, right?
But
because
they were
like
playing
everything I
without their
saw, everybody
quarterback.
had Toledo was
Toledo
the
was a
favorite.
touchdown favorite, yeah. So that definitely was an upset.
The question I have now, though,
SMU upset
with
Tulane
the
in New
Tulane
Orleans,
coach now
but
going
that's a
to
red
Houston,
hot
did that have
SMU
any
team.
effect on the game? Was that known at
I was
that
impressed
time?
they did it with their
Who knows?
backup. Yeah, exactly. I was impressed they did it with their backup quarterback.
Oregon State looked dead in the Civil War.
Yeah. You always
I
ask that
think
question.
so.
Yeah, Greg
I
and I
think it
pointed that
was.
out last week about Jonathan Smith going to Michigan
Epic
State
defense.
from Oregon.
Yeah.
We are scarred from the 2002 Iron Bowl where we watched Trey Smith run all over our really good defense and then learned a few days later that Dennis Franchione was jetting off to fucking Texas A&M.
I mean,
Does anybody
the
like Texas
tradition,
A&M besides
is
Texas
cool.
A&M? Let's just
No.
ask that.
You know, when I
Okay,
was a
good.
kid and lived in
I
Texas, the
actually,
whole
as a
Wrecking Crew
kid, they were
defense, that
weirdly
was
kind
pretty
of like my
cool.
number 2
But
team. I think
I
just
don't
because they
know.
were similar colors and maybe I knew like the Bear Bryant lore or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
Yeah,
But-
because that
Mhm. But then you kind of actually learn about them and how they're just a cult disguised as a college. And then, no.
Oh yeah, no, they absolutely are. And
Yeah.
the second cringiest thing I've ever seen was them
they
introducing their new head
get,
coach. That was
Oh
awkward.
God, yeah, yeah, Jesus. But all right, so while we're talking about SMU, Liberty did win Conference
1,000 times
USA,
better.
so they finished unbeaten. So now the next question for the committee is: it going to be Liberty going to the New Year's Six, or is it SMU? Because SMU's strength of schedule, their strength of victories, all of that is infinitely better than Liberty. Yeah, but Liberty is unbeaten. SMU has 2
Or
losses.
Florida State.
But you just proved you don't have to be unbeaten for it to matter.
That's true. I will say the only plus of Liberty getting into the New Year's Six is that they play someone like a pissed off Georgia, and oh man, if that one would be the funniest game to watch, or a Florida State. So I'd rather see SMU get in because I think they'd give someone a better game, but and also, fuck Liberty.
Wow.
We're talking about horrible universities. So that's interesting. What else we got? Of course, that great Pac-12 title game Friday night. We mentioned Washington jumped out big early. Oregon fought back, and it was another tight affair. Washington made late plays to seal the game. Boise responded to their coach
on the
leaving.
road,
So obviously there were some problems in there. We all thought it was kind of surprising when Boise fired the coach, but Mountain West champs for the first time in a good few years.
Good win for them.
Sunbelt Troy, a big
Yes.
Yeah, on the road technically for Boise. Yeah, Troy in the Fun Belt, 28-point fourth quarter. Huge, good win for them over a pretty hot App State team.
And by the way, I think I'm the only one that picked that.
You are. I had App State. I think Blaine had the over or under in this game. Yeah, and that under,
and it was
they blew
they
by
destroyed that.
under.
Yeah. But I think I put it in mind too. Like if game day is there, then obviously App State's winning, right? Because there's something weird about game day being there and App State pulling it out. So when game day wasn't there, I was like, I feel like Troy's got this. Plus, it was at Troy, so
and the house formerly known as Movie Gallery Stadium.
Yes. Hey, and John Summerall, Huntsville natives, their head coach.
Yeah. I think that's it for the title games.
Man, epic hire.
Yeah. Of course, the next big thing, coaching carousel. We mentioned that Houston officially hired Willie Fritz away from Tulane. A good hire for Houston. Tough loss for Tulane. A guy who really got that program up to where
the whole state.
It's tough because Tulane's one of those academic schools that it's tougher to get the better athletes, so to say. But in that region with all of that talent, not just in the New Orleans area, but Louisiana, you're right next to Texas. Yeah. That should be a power. They should be a power mid-major every year. They should be like a Boise State where every year before the year.
Oh, it's super
exactly.
legit.
Yeah, we talk about teams that could ruin somebody's day. I mean, Mal, you saw it firsthand. Yeah, they gave your Rebels everything they could have with a backup quarterback.
Yes. Yeah. And look, their new stadium is super nice too. Like I love the fact that they've yeah, I mean it's small, but it was loud. And so I'm really happy for them that they are on that upswing. I'm actually really surprised Mississippi State didn't go get him. I thought that's where he would end up. I thought he was going to end up his next job being at like a State or a Vanderbilt or something like that because he's obviously proven he can go and do something with less money. I think when you have the Houston money that he's going to have now, like it's still going on. I mean, Houston oil money is eventually going to come out at some point, but I think he's going to go do great things.
I mean, chances of Mississippi State sniffing the SEC title game, very unlikely. I mean, you got to look at Houston, that whole area. I mean, all the talent in the state of Texas, the market, the money. I mean, when Houston was winning, the fans show up. I mean, it's a perfect
Yeah.
situation, and the Big 12 is going to be a little different with Texas and Oklahoma leaving. So I think it's epic.
Hmm. No, I think
Yeah.
we touched on it last week when we talked about them firing Holgerson, but Houston is ripe to explode as a perennial Big 12 power. Uh, the money comes into that university. You know, they've got a huge alumni base
Hmm.
and they got money. And it's talk about a recruiting hotbed.
And then
If
moving.
Willie Fritz can do what he did at Tulane with the
Oh, yeah,
academic
for sure.
restrictions, he can absolutely kill it at Houston when that recruiting fertile recruiting grounds,
It's going to be a few that
and
stay
he's going to
home.
be able to steal some like 5-star guys from the bigger,
Hmm.
Texas, Alabama's, A&M, LSU's that come in there and have been taking all of those top Houston guys. They're still going
Oh,
to
yeah.
get their share of those best Houston players, but Willie
Because
Fritz is going to steal
especially
the
moving
one
to a
or two
12
that
team
make a
playoff.
difference.
I
Yeah, he's
mean,
going to get a couple of kids that want to
a lot,
stay home. He's going to get
Houston
like
goes
a
11
5-star
and 1.
quarterback or
They're,
something that's going to
they're
make a
in.
difference.
10 and 2, they're
Yeah.
probably
Houston
in.
is going to be in a playoff sooner than later with Willie Fritz. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
did.
Yeah, exactly.
James Madison coach. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Hmm.
Yeah.
Did Indiana did announce who they've hired, correct?
Yes, Kirk Cignetti, James Madison, James
That's right.
Madison coach. Yeah,
That's
um,
right. And that one was
I'm
a
not making
surprise to
that
me
move.
because they owed Tom Allen a $20 million
It's a
buyout.
horrible move.
that was a surprise. Yeah, that they would ponied up that much money for their football program. And two, I'm a little surprised Cignetti made that move because that is a lateral move at best. I mean, you're in the Big
At
Ten now,
best.
but James Madison, yeah, you're going to win so much more. And James Madison is technically, a newcomer and they're quote unquote a smaller school, but they have resources. They have a huge fan base. Like that's
Yeah, James
if we're talking
Madison's
about
going in.
realignment, if we're talking about breaking away,
Hmm.
if you mentioned 96
Oh, yeah.
teams, Mal. If you're doing that math, it's not going
Yeah.
to be just our power conference teams. You're going to have to add some of these, mid majors. James Madison is near the top of that list. Yeah, of teams that you invite to come with you.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Easily.
Well, and I think
Other
too, even
Easily.
with that, you can even make the point that like, okay, Liberty, look at them, but I still think like if I'm looking at conference realignment,
Who
I
ever
think I
saw
go
that
with the
coming?
James Madison over Liberty
That's a
if those are
wild
my
one.
choices.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, no.
They still don't have a line
Other
or
big
a
news from
quarterback.
this week: Bobby Petrino going back to Arkansas as their
KJ's in the
offensive
portal.
coordinator. Yeah, I'm not sure that's going to fix your offensive problems there, Arkansas.
Tomorrow it
But it's
opens.
funny. It's yeah
No,
for all the memes. That's going to be well. As I say, we will get to the portal here in a minute. Because it is loaded.
well,
Uh,
I think. Oh,
hmm.
that's right.
Yeah.
So I think the thing you see with Arkansas there is I think their fan
He may
base
not
never
make it a
wanted to get
month.
rid of him, right? Like you didn't have a choice; you
I'm shocked
had
he
to get
made
rid
what
of
he
him.
made.
And I think they're in the mindset now of like, well, enough time's passed. They want Sam Pittman's not going to last there another year, y'all.
Mm.
Yeah.
He may not.
Watch your back, Sam.
That does sound very like if Sam Pittman
They got the
loses a couple early
25th.
games,
I think they're
He's gone.
yeah,
ranked
Bobby
25th.
Petrino
That's
steps
what I
in and
heard.
he might be returned to their head coach.
Yep.
No, I don't know.
Again, I don't think that the A&M
They
offense
should be that
improved
good.
this year. They did, but also, yeah, but I'm not sure how much of that was due to Petrino and not just like, oh, right, these are 5 and 4-star kids that know what they're doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
San Diego State hired Colorado offensive coordinator Sean Lewis to be their new head coach, replacing the retired Brady Hoke. We'll see. San Diego State's another one of those mid-major programs that should be better than they are. They have their runs where they're decent, but they should be threatening to break into a playoff or a New Year's Six every few years.
Yeah. Syracuse hired Fran Brown, the Georgia defensive backs coach. So big jump for him. A great career move, right?
Yeah.
I think that's going to help him a lot with well, especially with the ACC realignment. He's going to be able to go in and be able to recruit a little bit where they haven't ever been able to, I don't think. And I think he's going to have their defense ready to go and kind of take away a little bit of that ACC offense that
They
people think
were.
is what they're known
Who
for.
was
So
the coach
I'm
back then?
interested to see
I
that
can't
one,
even
how
think
that
of his
goes out,
name.
how that works out.
Yeah, Syracuse,
He
a
was there
tough place to
forever.
win, but it can be
Yeah,
done. We've seen
Donovan
it. I
McNabb
mean,
was the
we were
quarterback.
in the 90s, we were growing up. Syracuse was kind of a power. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know who you're talking about, and I
Who
can't
was that?
bring him
Paul?
up either. Yeah.
Can't even think of his name.
Yeah, it was him and old Jim Boeheim on the hardwood there, but they ruled the sidelines forever. I think it looks like Mallory's got a research face on right now. Is that what you're?
I do. No, I was still looking to see who still has to fill head coaching positions.
I have to believe I have that right here. My other note: Oregon State did promote their defensive coordinator Trent Bray to full-time head coach. Still open head coaching jobs: Duke, Boise State, James Madison, Middle Tennessee State, New Mexico, Nevada, UTEP, and UL Monroe.
Oh, we're all sad to see Terry Bowden get fired from yet another job, right?
Yeah,
Nobody likes
tragic.
to go through there.
Just terrible.
Hate it for him.
Speaking of tough places, that's a
Sounds
tough place to win. In Monroe, that part of Louisiana is not the fun part of Louisiana. No, yeah, that's the yeah.
I think that they don't have anybody better.
So yeah,
So
I think. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say I think one of the retentions that I saw that I'm shocked about is Baylor. They kept Aranda, and I don't know how.
I think he's probably in that. He's probably in that Neil Brown seat where he's going to be the guy on the hot seat entering next season, and he's going to have to win about 8-9 games to because they were my I think surprise rebound team in the Big 12 this year, and they did not. Speaking of which, real quick before we get to the transfer portal, Greg, I saved our predictions for conference winners. Not as bad as I thought it might be. SEC, we both had Bama as our title. Greg, you called it over Georgia. I, of course, thought the Vols might actually take the step. They did not. Big Ten, Greg had Penn State over Wisconsin. Missed that. I had Michigan over Wisconsin, so we both missed the West. We did both have Florida State winning the ACC, but we had it over Clemson, of course, not Louisville. We both had Texas winning the Big 12, but you had them beating K-State. I had them beating Baylor, as I mentioned. Greg, you got Washington right as your Pac-12 champ. Like you said, you've been on them all year. You had them beating USC in the title game. I had to flip-flop. I had USC winning, so swing and a big miss there. American, Greg had Tulane, so almost. I had UT San Antonio. Maybe a couple years too early for them. And they're speaking of guys that have not left yet. Jeff Traylor still
got their coach, so
the Roadrunners coach.
So stay where you're at, my guy. Win some more. No pressures on.
Yeah, I don't see any big enough jobs opening. There's no the Duke job isn't worth it. Boise State's a lateral move. Yeah. Yeah.
Or the UNLV would be the game.
Yeah. Mountain West, we did both have Boise State winning. I'm sure neither of us predicted they would do so while firing their head coach. Yeah, no. Conference USA, Greg, you got Liberty, right? I had UTEP, so I don't know what I was saying. I don't even know where they finished in the standings. That's an interesting one. Sun Belt, Greg had App State. Close, I had South Alabama, who had a good year, just not quite that good. Mac, we both had Toledo. Close, but no cigar.
I had...
My playoff, I
had
have
Alabama,
Bama,
State,
Michigan, USC, Florida
Washington.
State. So I got 2 right. Greg, I actually don't have
Georgia.
yours here. Do you remember what you called for the playoff?
Because I had Alabama, Georgia going undefeated and playing both making the playoff. Only one losing. So we both went what 50-50. So not terrible.
Yeah. Okay. So 2. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think that's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Oh,
think the
and
belt is
here's
better
something I
than the
just saw a
trophy
flash on the
personally.
screen too that I'd like to
That's
talk about.
me as a
What
wrestling
did y'all
fan. I
think
like
of
it.
the WWE partnership with the Big 12 title game and getting the championship belts? Seeing, uh, yeah, yeah,
I mean, I like it. I get it why they're trying to maybe appeal to a younger crowd, especially when you start looking at the fact that Game Day brought on Pat McAfee this year. So I think it was a smart move on their
Mm.
part. They're kind of making sure they still attach themselves to
Oh yeah.
ESPN, keep that stuff going. So yeah, I kind of like it.
yeah. I'm with Greg, wrestling fan. It's funny to see an old ass Undertaker up there giving the championship belts away and MVP belts. His wife Michelle McCool, got to give her props too. I think a Hall of Famer in her own right.
Big
There with him.
partnership.
The biggest surprise to me was that they actually put the logo on the field. The
Yeah.
WWE logo with the belt and all that on the 35-yard lines. I was good for WWE. Whatever. I'd rather them do. Yeah, I'd rather them partner with ESPN than Saudi Arabia like they do. So, but that's another discussion. All right, going back transfer portal, we mentioned that. Just want to throw some names out. These are all quarterbacks that have announced that they are entering the portal. And again, they might stay, but a lot of them gone. Cam Ward, Washington State quarterback, that is an absolute stud. Somebody could get. Dante Moore, UCLA quarterback, freshman, had his moments this year, but I guess fell out of favor with Chip Kelly there. DJU, Oregon State quarterback, former Clemson quarterback. He has put his name in there. Riley Leonard, Duke quarterback. Grayson McCall, Coastal Carolina quarterback, a good smaller guy, sneaky good. Yeah, one of your dog's favorites.
Obviously.
Yeah. Tyler Van Dyke,
That's
Miami
interesting.
quarterback, former, NFL scouts used to love him. Definitely has fallen off, but that's still maybe he can be a reclamation
We
project
forgot about
somewhere. And then
KJ.
Will Howard, Kansas State quarterback. That is a powerful list of just quarterbacks alone. I didn't even touch on running backs, receivers, skill players, defensive guys. Oh yeah, KJ Jefferson has announced he is in the portal. There's some studs in that portal,
I
so
think
this is
it's.
going to be another.
I mean,
Uh,
I think it's.
you can. I know not
Well,
everybody's a fan of the
I think it's
portal and kind of the
entertaining.
free
Just see
agency
where these
coming to
folks gonna
college
end up.
football, but
I like it. I know
there
a lot
at
of old
least
school
it
people
lends
don't
some
like
fun
it,
to the off season,
but then
seeing
you
where
look
these
at it
guys are going to
too.
go.
I mean, folks were never mad when coaches just left out of nowhere, so I can't be mad at the players either. I mean, you gotta do what's best for you. I mean, we have jobs, and if another opportunity comes and we feel that's better, we're not gonna stay. So I can't knock a kid if they feel like that's a better opportunity and that's gonna get them where they need to go for their career. Hey, more power to you. Hopefully, it works out for you.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. I had a guest on, Katie Hill. He, was recruited by Hugh Freeze, offered by Hugh Freeze. We fire Hugh Freeze. He stays committed to Ole Miss as a school. His mom told him, like, hey, you need to commit to the school, not the coaches. I don't think you see that as much now. I think he was an anomaly, but same thing, even before that, you could transfer as a graduate transfer. And so again, kind of going back to that whole career thing, but you had to go to a school, like if you didn't want to sit out, you had to go to a school that offered a graduate program that your current school didn't offer. So you can make an argument that that's a career move, but yeah, I mean,
Exactly.
we change jobs every single day. Why can't they? And, maybe they get there and they think, oh, even academically, this isn't where I want to be. Like that happens. I
Out of
transferred after my
all
freshman year of
people,
college
Mister
for academic
Mister
things, and it's like,
Mister
why can't
Plain
we
in
let
it.
them? Like, I don't like Tommy
Oh,
Tuberville and his whole,
yeah,
oh, they have to sign a contract. Come on.
yeah.
You,
Come
like,
on, brother.
Tuberville of all people does not need to talk about being loyal
Thank you, Mister
Yeah,
Double Standard to the max.
in
Mr.
the middle of the night and leaving your recruits at a dinner. And yeah, come on, dude.
Mr. What was it? The only way I'll leave Oxford is in a pine box.
Pine box.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
No. But yeah, that's a while. I agree. Yeah, every word. Yeah, these kids
And
have
it just
agency too, and
changes
they should
the
absolutely
changes
be able to
your
move
the
because no one
coaches.
bats an
It
eye
makes it
if
harder for
a
them. But
civic
hey, they're getting
engineer
paid $9-10
major
million a year.
decides
You
to
don't feel
leave
bad for it.
for
They gotta
another school. So
re-recruit
why should it be
somebody, or
different for
every
a
year,
football
hey, you
player?
guys still good playing here with the
Um,
transfer portal and everything else. Because I mean, they're still getting $10 million a year. It's their job.
yeah.
It's a little
Absolutely
scary.
wild. I guess no NFL talk this week,
They
really,
are,
since it's
but
so
their
early in the day
offense
here.
really
Nothing's
woke
really
up
going
this week. It has
on.
been dead for a while, and they
Greg's
really
Cowboys got a good Thursday night
took it to
win
it. DK Metcalf had a field
over a
day.
tough Seattle team. A little scary, but I mean, Seattle's a tough team. That's a tough team to play.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, against y'all's defense, that's
We saw
impressive.
that on that. Whew.
That one slanter pass he took and then just gone.
The fastest
My
recorded
goodness.
speed in the NFL this year? Like
Yeah,
22 miles an hour. Oh,
yeah.
he's a beast.
That prompted a joke. Yeah, within our group text that somebody said, "Imagine if DK and AJ Brown played on the same team." Um,
Oh
Man.
wait. Oh wait. Oh wait. But yeah, they were never really healthy at the same time.
Wow.
well, yeah,
that
my
was the sad
response
part.
was DK
Jeez.
just could
Can you
not stay
imagine?
healthy in
He
college,
couldn't.
and two,
Yeah.
Matt Luke was
Big
the
rock.
wrong guy to have them because if that were
He
they were a
was.
couple years younger, or if Lane Kiffin was a couple years ahead of them, Lane Kiffin with those two in his
Good God.
offense, no, I don't want to because that's a couple losses. I don't want to have Lane Kiffin with DK Metcalf and AJ Brown against a Pete Golding defense.
But see, the other thing you have to remember is the same time DK and AJ were there, we had Elijah Moore, who's with the Browns now,
Mm-hmm.
and we had Dawson Knox,
Can hold
who
up.
did not catch a touchdown in college. Think about that. Can you imagine a tight end like Dawson Knox and a Lane Kiffin? Oh God, y'all. We'd put 100 on everybody every week, and then we just have to pray our defense could hold them to 99.
Yeah, but say I'd take y'all's offense every time.
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, that was our NFL news. NBA in-season tournament is down to the quarterfinals this week, and then the finals like what next Saturday, right?
And still
I
lost.
think so.
Comes all quick. Greg's Mavericks did something really weird and never before done yesterday. Went on a 30-0 run in the fourth quarter.
Like
Still lost.
But hey,
Wow.
it's this point of the
Yeah.
year where it's still football season, and I
I
was
think Greg
elated
can probably
yesterday,
attest.
so
That's
I
probably just life as a
wasn't
Mavericks fan the
too
past
worried
few years.
about that right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, he's still the decision maker, but yeah, sold his
Yeah.
couple $1 billion they sold there.
so thoughts
stake in
on
the
on
casino
Cuban
money.
selling his stake but
I
still
guess
staying
the
on to
long-term
help
plan
run it?
is eventually, if Texas ever says yes to gambling, that they're going to build a big casino and have a new arena for the Mavericks. So it's all a big business deal. But well, they have a lottery. They just don't have casinos or anything. You got to go to Oklahoma. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize Texas didn't have a lottery. Ah, okay. Oh, or Louisiana.
I'm about to say
Because
this.
the ones in Shreveport are super awesome and nice, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, hey, we stayed at. We went out to me and a few friends went out to South by Southwest one year, and we stopped in Bossier City and stayed at a place called
Classic.
Diamond Gems. And even though it was four of us, because you're poor 20-somethings to save money, I think we ended up with a honeymoon suite because we definitely had a hot tub in the room.
That is a hell of a
Yes.
That I enjoyed, and somewhere floating around is a great picture of me very much enjoying that hot tub with a stack of empty Miller High Lifes behind me.
Yes.
I was living the good life then. Yeah, that was a interesting place. It's a great song by the Turnpike
getting
Troubadours
closer.
about Bossier City. If you're a country fan. other sports, still waiting on dominoes to fall in the Major League Baseball offseason. Yeah. Our WNBA finals are set, right?
I believe so. I look, I am all for women's sports. Obviously, I have a whole podcast and we talk about it and try and touch on it as much, but
That's
I
over.
I
It's over.
cannot follow what they
Las
do
Vegas
and
won
when
the
their
title.
season is. It is so weird.
It
So,
is a very rare.
Yeah.
Oh no, it's over. Hell, we're behind
oh yeah, it's
this.
over. Yeah.
Yeah, Las Vegas won. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
right, because Becky
Won it
Hammons
for
got
AJ
her
Wilson.
second
Yeah.
to the back-to-back. And then Pop went
Yeah.
and she did the whole
Yeah.
thing like a week
Yeah,
before, a week
October
after they won it.
19th.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a
AJ
few weeks
Wilson,
ago, y'all.
yeah.
There's been some college football things happening since then.
Yeah, we're a little. What's that? Oh, it's been since October. Really? I thought that maybe I've been looking at. I guess. I guess I've been looking at draft news coming up. Wow, I'm embarrassed. I might have to edit that part out the podcast.
It's gonna be fun over the next couple of weeks with the portal opening up, see where everybody
Other
goes.
than that, yeah, nothing really else.
that's gonna
Anything
be,
else you guys wanted to
of
talk
course,
about in the sports world?
then the early signing day will come. The new signing day, pretty much, that'll be this month. So interesting month for college football. Even with the end of the regular season and the championship, waiting for bowl season. But yeah, December's turned into the hot month for college football.
Yeah, I think, the only thing, I mean, I obviously love early signing day. I think it's smart, especially now too, after COVID, you start seeing kids being able to do more classes online and at home so they can graduate early, get a spring in early, come in, hopefully make a little bit more of an
I think Florida
impact.
State's playing
So I
Georgia.
really like to see that for them. But
Be
I'm
interesting.
going back to, the selection committee and stuff. I mean, we still got to figure out who's playing the rest of the New Year Six bowls, and I think there are going to be some upset. Yeah, but I think you're going to end up. We're going to end up with a couple of teams that are unhappy that feel like they should be in the New Year Six, and they're not going to be. So I'm interested to see how the bowl games kind of shake out.
Playoff games, but
I believe that
hopefully they can
happens at
find us,
about 2:30,
Oregon,
a couple
Ohio
hours
State
here.
game. I mean, please,
Um,
that'd be a fun one. He deserves to go to New York. Yeah, send him to New York.
Oh, Heisman. Let's talk Heisman really fast.
There we go.
Does Bo Nix deserve to be in the finalist?
Finalist? Yeah. Yeah, I
5
think he
and 7.
deserves to go to New York.
Yeah.
Does Jaden Daniels deserve
And
to
just
go to New
his
York?
numbers,
He deserves to
has
win it.
better
I don't
numbers
think there's
than
another
I
winner.
think so too.
LSU season of all time.
Dude,
I mean-
you take Jaden Daniels off of
better-
LSU and they're like Vanderbilt. They're trash.
Yeah.
But overall yards and everything. Yeah. You gotta think if he had any semblance
Yeah,
of a defense,
he had better numbers than
LSU
Joe Burrow.
probably
Yeah.
wins the SEC.
Yes.
To be honest.
But
But we're not
maybe
talking about that.
Yeah, not as many
'Cause-
passing touchdowns, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's not how it has always been until like the last 10 years.
Yeah, and that's we talked about that a little bit. That's a messed up part of that award. It's a give it to the best guy, one of the best teams award now, and that's just not how it should be, Yeah.
I would make the argument
He won a
it started
national
with
title without
Peyton.
him.
And don't get me wrong, Woodson was
As
great.
As Alabama,
And,
as Alabama
does
fan,
Michigan
it
do what
brought
they
me
do
great
without
joy
him?
to
I
not see
think
Peyton
they
now.
do. Does Tennessee do what they do without Peyton? No way. And I think that's when you started to see it change. Yep. It's true. But who else did they lead?
Yeah.
So if Peyton strikes the Heisman pose, does he win it that year?
And that's the thing, yeah. Does he doesn't have that
Well,
moment to
I know that they
where
beat him, of course, because never beat him.
and they also
But
that was
Tennessee won
97,
the-
right?
Tennessee won the
did
SEC, I
not make the
believe.
SEC title game,
If
right?
I
That
remember
probably
right,
was
his
another
last game was
Florida.
against
I assume,
Nebraska,
yeah,
and
Florida
Nebraska
over.
housed them, absolutely housed them.
Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah, and
30 over 29 over Auburn. They won it. You're correct.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
And that's when he got up on the ladder and led the band in Rocky Top.
Yeah. Oh, he did that at Legion Field too. After a win over Alabama. Yeah.
good
Poor.
God.
Rest in peace, Legion Field. Thank God.
Yeah. Well, it's still here, sort of.
Sort of.
Yeah. That's why I forgot that. Yeah. Of course, I would forget a Tennessee Auburn SEC title game. That's. Yeah. Right. That's a misery. Yeah. That was the Mike DeBoe's first Mike DeBoe season. Or. Yeah. Ugh.
Yeah. Oh, God,
Dark
the
time.
Mike eras.
That was that was the beginning of the dark times for Alabama. After they forced out Gene Stallings, who what won an SEC title, won a national
Outside that
title, averaged
99
10 wins a
season,
year.
and
Yeah, but yeah, I used to have a great book on that. I wish I still had it or could remember what it was called because it was written by a player who played during that era and had a lot of inside knowledge about why. For whatever reason, UA presidents and athletic
took a
directors
while to
didn't
get
like
there.
Gene Stallings, which again, one of the dumbest moves Alabama ever made. I guess you could do connecting dots, sliding doors to that eventually led to Nick Saban, but we could have still got Nick Saban, after Gene Stallings stayed for a few more years.
Okay, y'all. Sorry. They're putting up a post that Jordan Travis put out on Twitter, and he says, I wish my leg broke earlier in the season so you could see what this team
They
is
didn't have
really
to
about. Y'all,
I mean,
that's a leader right there. Man, that's, ugh,
if
swear.
anything,
Yeah, like we said,
People
we
with
feel
thoughts and
bad.
emotions.
Yeah, we
Ugh.
feel
trash.
terrible for the Florida State players because they
Clemson
did
wasn't
nothing
what they
wrong.
were
They
supposed
did
to
what they were
be.
supposed to
I mean,
do.
Duke fell off after the
It's just
Leonard
this
injury.
system
North
is
Carolina imploded.
wishy-washy.
It's broken.
It could have
Yeah.
been. At first of the season, we thought, hey, the ACC might be a lot better than what folks thought.
Yeah,
True.
right.
As soon as we said that, fell apart quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And now
Yeah,
SMU's
be
going to
mad
go
at
in and
them
run
not
the
being
conference.
aggressive enough in expansion. Maybe if they get a UCF earlier or something, one of those teams, maybe, if they, all these, I think I said it. Well, going back to all that mess. Eventually, what's going to happen is when all these schools break away. Anyway, we're just going to go back to geographical alignments anyway. So in the end, we're going to get our old school alignments. But I think I mentioned it too earlier. Actually, yeah, that's what it was. Someone posted a video of the Texas A&M welcoming Mike Elko, and I believe I said something like, "Dear aliens, please come and take me to the timeline where the Big East is still around and the SEC got Florida State and Memphis or something instead of A&M."
Yes.
What a day.
Yes, please.
Yeah, somewhere that's a thing. But all right, we've been recording for almost 90 minutes now, y'all. Let's go ahead and do our done up real goods. Mallory, what has been done up real good for you lately?
Oh man, I think the done up real good for me has probably just been the way that you've started to see game day, honestly, start to take on a little bit more of the social media aspect, starting to pull in younger viewers with Pat McAfee, those kinds of things. I think that they also did a really good job as Lee Corso has kind of gone down to kind of pull him off, not force him to be up there all the time. I know that when he would come off the stage, I think we all were afraid that like, oh crap, something had happened. But I think that we're going to see that this is the end of it for him. I don't think he's back next year. And so I think they did it the right way by letting him kind of bow out gracefully and a little slowly. And so
LSU,
I'll give them that.
And in the playoff. Doesn't get better than
Greg?
that. How about you? Been beautiful. It is.
Stole my answer right there. That was it. That's my answer. It's a good day to be an Alabama fan. A good win. I was not as confident as 2021. I was confident that we were going to go in the SEC title game and win, despite the ugly Auburn game the week before, despite
unbeatable.
Georgia seemingly looking unstoppable. Then I was just like, nah, we got this.
They were still a hell of a team.
Yesterday, less confident, but I was like, we can do this. I didn't think that Georgia was this Georgia team. Yeah, is obviously isn't as good as the previous couple years. And good too. Yeah, and this is also good to slow down a little bit of that. Georgia is about to surpass the Alabama dynasty talk, because I preach it all the time, but one thing that we as college football fans lack a lot of the time, 90% probably, is perspective. And once again, must remind everyone, Alabama fans included, that what Nick Saban has done, what we're seeing, what we're in the middle of, is unprecedented in the history of the sport. This is the most amazing run in the history of college football. It's not going to be easily matched, no matter how good Kirby takes Georgia to, and he's going to take it there. He's got to win 4 more national titles within the next few years just to match Nick Saban. Like we said, that's now 8 of the last 12 SEC titles have gone to Bama. Let's just slow down. I know everybody's got to get their clicks out and their think pieces and all that. And
I mean, they still
they're
went
hot
on
takes,
29
but
straight games.
give it some room to breathe. It's a good wine. Open it up, let it breathe.
Still an epic run. All epic runs.
Just let Georgia have their success, because they're still a great team. We don't have to compare them yet.
It all started with David Pollock in last year's national title game.
SEC
and
record.
They gave him that stare, and that was the beginning of it.
And they come back. Yep, that's who you have to thank, Georgia fans. Your boy David Pollock. He messed it up for all of y'all. He woke the beast that was Nick Saban. But yeah, that does it for us, y'all. Mal, any plugs for the Staredown? Anything this week?
Man, I think this week I'm going to talk a little Angel Reese. She's back. I'm going to dive into the Kim Mulkey history and how murky that all is. And I think too, a little bowl preview. We kind of see where everybody's going to go. But women's basketball, I think, is really just going to be kind of our main thing. There's a lot of interesting stuff happening. So yeah, we'll get into a little bit more winter sports. And we're going to talk about the No Fun League.
Nice.
I got a lot to say about the No Fun League. So.
Oh, interesting. All right. Well, all right. And I guess congratulations are in order to you. I do believe you won the pick column this year.
Hooray! Beginner's luck total.
Yeah. I'm not sure yet what the final numbers were. I just know at that somewhere yesterday in the window you picked a couple of the ones that I didn't, and you hit. So congratulations to you. Blaine, you'll bounce back next year, buddy. It's okay. We know you were better than what you showed this year.
It happens.
Yeah. Which is also, and maybe this will be the catalyst I can finally talking him into, or maybe not now, because he did so much better in the pick'em than he did the picks column. So I just hate the confidence points. I just want us to move that spread.
Yeah, I don't like that. Or just outright winner and don't confidence pick it. Just let it go.
Yeah, that's fine by me too. Who's going to win? But that does it for us, folks. Thank you for listening. Roll Tide to all you Bama fans out there. Sorry to Florida State fans, but also not sorry. We will see y'all later. Mal, Greg, take it easy, y'all.
Awesome. Y'all too.